Hi, it's Grandpa from Grammy and Grandpa Read, and we got another exciting book. Remember to subscribe below and like our videos. It's a classic today, The Frog Prince. I think it's a Brothers Grimm story tale. In the old times, there lived a king whose youngest daughter was so lovely that the sun himself, who had seen so much, marveled each time he shone over her. Near the royal castle, there was a great dark wood, and in the wood, under an old linden tree, was a well. When the day was hot, the king's daughter used to go into the wood and sit by the cool well. Then she would take out a golden ball and throw it up and catch it again, for this was her favorite pastime. Get a little better angle there. One day, the golden ball dropped down to the ground near the edge of the well and rolled in. The king's daughter began to weep. She wept and wept as if she could never be comforted. And in the midst of her weeping, she heard a voice saying to her, "What ails thee, king's daughter? Your tears would melt a heart of stone." And when she looked to see where the voice came from, there was nothing but a frog stretching his thick, ugly head out of the water. "Oh, it is you, old waddler," she said. "I weep because my golden ball has fallen into the well." "Never mind, do not weep," answered the frog. "I can help you. But what will you give me if I fetch your ball again?" "Whatever you like, dear frog," said she. "Any of my clothes, my pearls, or even the gold crown that I wear." "Your clothes, your pearls, and your golden crown are not for me," answered the frog. "But if you would love me and have me for your companion and let me eat from your plate and drink from your cup and sleep in your bed, then I would dive below the water and fetch your golden ball for you." "Oh, yes," she answered, "I will promise it all, if only you will get me my ball." But she thought to herself, what nonsense he talks, as if he could do anything but sit in the water and croak, or could possibly be anyone's companion. But the frog, as soon as he heard her promise, drew his head under the water and sank out of sight. After a while, he came to the surface again with the ball in his mouth and threw it on the grass. The king's daughter was overjoyed to see her golden ball again, and she picked it up and ran off with it. "Stop, stop," cried the frog. "Pick me up too. I cannot run as fast as you." But it was no use, for she would not listen to him. Instead, she hurried home and soon forgot all about the poor frog. The next day, the king's daughter was eating from her golden plate. The king and all the court, there came a sound of something pitter-patter, hip-hop-hopping in the gold marble stairs, and there came a knocking at the door and a voice crying, "King's youngest daughter, let me in." When she opened the door, there was the frog sitting outside. Then she shut the door hastily and went back to her seat, feeling very uneasy. The king noticed how quickly her heart was beating and said, "My child, what are you afraid of? Is there a giant standing at the door, ready to carry you away?" "Oh, no," answered she. "No giant, but a horrid frog." "And what does the frog want?" said the king. "Oh, dear father," answered she, "yesterday when I was playing, my golden ball fell into the well, and while I was crying, the frog came and got it for me after I promised I would let him be my companion. I never thought he could leave the water, but now he is outside the door and he wants to come in." Then they all heard the frog knocking a second time, crying, "King's youngest daughter, open the door to me by the well water. What promised you to me? King's youngest daughter, now open the door to me." "You must do as you promised," said the king to his daughter. "Now go and let him in." So she opened the door and the frog hopped in. Then he cried, "Lift me up to sit by you." But she delayed doing so until the king ordered her. When the frog was on the chair, he hopped up on the table, and there he sat and said, "Now push your golden plate a little nearer so that we may eat together." And so she did, but everybody could see how unwilling she was. The frog ate heartily, but the king's daughter could not eat a thing. "Now I am tired," said the frog at last. "You must carry me to your room, and we will lie down and go to sleep." Then the king's daughter began to weep, for she was afraid of the cold frog. Now the king grew very angry with her and said again, "You must do as you promised." So she picked up the frog with her fingers and thumb, carried him upstairs, and put him in a corner. When she had lain to sleep, the frog hopped up, saying, "I am tired and I want to sleep. Take me up, or I will tell your father." Then she felt beside her with rage, and picking him up, she threw him with all her strength against the wall, crying, "Now be quiet, you horrid frog." But as he fell, he ceased to be a frog, and suddenly became a prince with beautiful kind eyes. And the prince told her how a wicked witch had bound him by her spells, and how no one but the king's daughter could have released him, and that they would be married and go together to his father's kingdom. And so they were married and set out for the prince's kingdom in a golden carriage, drawn by 8 white horses with red plumes on their heads. And beside the carriage was standing faithful Henry, the servant of the young prince. Henry had suffered such sadness and pain when his master had turned into a frog that he had to wear 3 iron bands around his heart to keep it from breaking. But now he was full of joy at his master's happiness. Suddenly, as they neared the castle, there was a cracking sound. The prince thought it must be a wheel breaking, but it was the bursting of the bands from around Henry's heart, because he was now so relieved and happy that the prince was free again. Wow, that story went a little different than how I remembered it. The way I remember it was she had to kiss the frog, turning back into a prince. And she didn't know at the time that he was a prince, so he couldn't tell her. Anyway, everybody tells the stories a little bit different. That's what makes it so fun, when we maybe even read some of the same stories but different versions on our channel. Anyway, remember to like the video and subscribe. Have a great day.